Hey, welcome into another episode of the Fat Guy Podcast. I am the Fat Guy. Most people just call me Brett. That's perfectly acceptable. Thanks for hanging out today. Really appreciate you listening to the podcast, and I really appreciate everybody that shares or tells somebody about it, or the people that have rated the podcast on Apple Podcasts, for example, the 5-star ratings, the nice compliments. Also on social media, Fat Guy Podcast is our username, and you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. And thanks to the people who have rated us on Facebook. You know, you can do a Facebook review on a Facebook page, and had some nice comments on there. Thank you so much for that. And a big shout out to patrons. These folks have chipped in a couple of bucks and said, hey, we appreciate you, what you're doing. Keep up the great work. What you've done has been of value to me, so I'm going to provide a little value back to you. Bessie Williams, Kenneth Wilkerson, Bobby Houston, you guys are awesome. And today we're all about the Thanksgiving as it's coming up, the holidays. These are the big ones, right? You got to get through Thanksgiving. You got to get, we just got through Halloween. To me, that one's not so hard. Just don't binge out on the candy. Thanksgiving, Christmas, a little bit harder because it's family. There's the table full of food. It's a little more difficult. So we want to talk a little bit about it and help you get to it. A real quick tip about the Patreon. If you are a patron, which is, again, just a few bucks, it's a token amount of bucks to say thanks for what you're doing here. It means a lot to me. I've just posted some awesome recipes over there for Thanksgiving, which are phenomenal. Now, we'll get into a little bit about recipes and what to cook here in the podcast, but if you want in detail exact recipes, exactly how to cook them, and all that kind of stuff, we got a sweet potato casserole recipe over there. We got this cheesy loaded mashed cauliflower recipe over there, a green bean casserole, a cheesy zucchini casserole, and a keto pecan pie. And this keto pecan pie, by the way, I've had 3 different keto pecan pies since I've been keto. This one actually has the gooey center, and usually the keto pecan pies don't. This one has the gooey center, so it's really as close as you're ever going to get to a pecan pie. So that's by going to patreon.com/fatguypodcast, patreon.com/fatguypodcast. There should also be a link wherever you found this, or in the notes or whatever for this podcast, link you over there as well. All that being said, let's get into Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is difficult because it's a carby meal. It's not just that the meal is big, and trust me, the meal is big, but it's that it's a carby meal. Interesting story about Thanksgiving. The whole, like, I was in radio for many years, and every year you try to do stuff different for Thanksgiving, but you really kind of just wind up doing the same stuff over and over again. And one of them is always how the tryptophan in the turkey knocks you out and puts you to sleep. And we talked about it every year. As it turns out, the amount of tryptophan in turkey is negligible, and it's actually in lesser amount than you'll find in foods that you eat on a normal weekday in July. It's not it. What knocks you out is carb. It's a carb coma. You've just loaded up on the carbs. You probably had the sweet potatoes or yams. You probably had the mashed potatoes. You probably had the pecan pie, the pumpkin pie, whatever other kind of carbs are loaded up on the table. And you overeat because it's a family Thanksgiving thing, and you just go into a carb coma. That's what it is. Does nothing to do with tryptophan. Has nothing to do with the turkey. Turkey isn't magical in any kind of way. As a matter of fact, the turkey is the best thing you can eat on the table, period. So that leads us into the first thing is meat. The meat part is simple. That's the beautiful thing about Thanksgiving is it's all around the turkey. And if you will go into Thanksgiving as a person who's doing low carb or keto with the mindset that it is all about the turkey, try to make the best possible turkey you can and try to focus your plate around the turkey, you're off to a good start. But some people have ham. I do know people that have eaten deer. I know people that have had roasts. So it's not always turkey, but generally it's turkey. Now look, you can't mess meat up. That's the good thing about keto, low carb, carnivore, whatever you're trying to do. You can't mess the meat up, basically. As long as you don't batter it in something, slosh it around in some kind of egg milk mixture and then pile a bunch of flour or breading all over it, you can't mess the meat up. The only other thing I'd say about meat is if you're frying some meat, don't fry it in vegetable. No peanut oil, no corn oil, sunflower oil, or none of that. Fry it in something real. Avocado oil, perhaps, some lard, grease, real kind of oils. These, preferably don't fry it at all, but if you have to, that's the route you need to go. You're basically going to be roasting it, though. I know the deep fryer thing has become popular, though, and knowing what I know now about high omega-6 oils, which is your corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil. Man, those things are causing insane amounts of damage to your body. They're just ripping through the endothelial lining of your arteries, which is bringing heart attacks one step closer. They also cause huge amounts of inflammation in your fat cells, which cause your fat cells to function completely improperly. It disrupts the hunger signaling and many other things. They're just bad. Just stay away from them. That's my advice. Other than that, whatever meat you want, just don't batter it. Don't batter it and layer it up with a bunch of carbs, That's the beautiful thing about the meat. So it's really not hard to do Thanksgiving from a meat perspective. Where you start running into problems is what's considered the main dishes, which is what? What are you eating? You're eating stuffing, carbs, mashed potatoes, carbs, yams or sweet potatoes, carbs, and then your desserts, carbs. Fill up half your plate. When you get your plate, be a gluttonous sloth. That's fine, but just fill up half that plate with the meat. Make half the plate meat. That only leaves you half a plate. So, you can put a couple of vegetables on there, so let's make them good vegetables. Things that involve beans, not beans, green beans, not beans by any means. Whew, scratch that. Green beans, green leafy vegetables, broccolis, cauliflowers, asparaguses, those type things will fit nicely on there. And those are easy to make. They're plain. I didn't do any recipes for that over on the Patreon blog for my patron supporters because it's easy to make those. It takes nothing to cook asparagus in some butter. It takes nothing to cook broccoli in some butter, cauliflower in some butter. You can steam them in your microwave. I mean, all that stuff's easy to make. You can roast them. One of my favorite ways to eat asparagus or broccoli or cauliflower is to roast it. Get a little of that browning and caramelization on the edge in the oven on a high heat and get it roasted down and then drizzle some melted butter over it. Oh, God, it's so good. So that's the kind of things you should focus on. Of course, there's specialty keto recipes like the one I mentioned that I just put up for my patrons, and those will get you through too. But if you will focus on the meat, it helps a lot. If just by starting out by filling up half that plate with meat, and if you go back for seconds, don't skimp on the meat and get a bunch of sides. Load the plate halfway up again with meat again. That's the way to do it. And protein fills you up. Protein and fats fill you up. Carbs you can eat all day. Never get tired of them. That's the tricky things about carbs. The body signaling for carbs is non-existent or barely there. You have excellent fat signaling and you have excellent protein signaling. You also have excellent water signaling. Your body is very good at signaling when you're full of water. I mean, the overwhelming urge to stop drinking water will smack you in the face when you reach the tipping point. Same with fat. You eat too much fat, your body will start yelling at you. That's okay, we've had plenty. And then if you get past that, it'll go to the point you actually feel physically ill. That's the beautiful thing about fat. And protein does the same way. Just keep on eating protein. You'll get that smack in the face that we're done. And if you keep trying to push it, you'll get that, I feel sick feeling. So that's all your body's natural way of signaling that you're full. But that doesn't happen with carbs. And that's the problem with the holidays. That's the problem with the food you buy in the stores, the packaged stuff. That's the problem with French fries. Who has ever sat down and eaten a box full of French fries? I mean, it's no problem. So that's the things to look out for and avoid during Thanksgiving as far as your main course side dishes, and then you run into the desserts. Well, you'll just only have one choice there. You have to make a keto-friendly dessert, and there's lots of them out there. Some of them are really easy. The Keto cheesecakes are the easiest thing in the world to make. They're basically based around cream cheese and super simple. I don't cook that much, and I've made them, and they were excellent, and I was impressed. Even though knowing how easy they are, I shouldn't have been impressed. Those things are easy to make. There's other kinds of, pretty much it runs the gamut, depending on how complicated you want to get, how involved you want to get. But standards are pecan and pumpkin pie. That's your holiday standards. Since maybe it's a little selfish of me, but since pecan pie is my thing, and since I found a keto pecan pie recipe that actually has the gooey in the middle, that's why I put that over on the Patreon blog for patrons, because selfish, I guess. I did not put a pumpkin pie one up there. I tell you what I may do after I finish this podcast and publish it. I have a couple of keto cook friends. Like, these are people that cook and they know. They can tell me what the best pumpkin pie is, and I may go back and throw a pumpkin pie recipe up there for patrons as well. So I hope that helps you get through the holidays. Don't let friends... Look, remember that the holidays, they say it's about food and friends, but that's actually reverse and wrong. It's about friends and family and food. So you got, or I guess family and friends and food in that order. You know, you got the 3 F's, but 2 of those F's are hugely important, and one of them isn't. I was talking to somebody a few days ago that I'm trying to help lose weight, and we were talking about how it's important to be developing a lifestyle and not a diet. A diet is temporary. A diet is a way to get weight off your body, but a diet is not the way to keep weight off your body. It just doesn't. The diet will eventually stop working. So it's the lifestyle that means 5 years from now you will have kept it off. And part of that lifestyle is changing the way you think and rearranging your ideas about what celebrating and rewards are. And the biggest reward of Thanksgiving would be being around people that you love and care about you. That's number one, family. So you need to make Thanksgiving like 70%, I don't know, 60, 70% about family, maybe 10 to 20% about friends, and then like 5% about the food. You know, you can sit at that same table with everybody else and you can laugh as you share your stories and your jokes, and you can eat your turkey and you can eat your broccoli or your cauliflower or your asparagus, and you will enjoy that time at that table just as much as anybody else, maybe more. And then when the meal is over and you find yourself hanging outside, or most people are got their hand in their pants like Al Bundy with the one snapped because they're so full and stuffed. You're laying around in that condition. You'll be the one not in that condition. You won't be in that shape. You won't be in the carb coma. Maybe while everybody else is being lazy and their body is trying desperately to pump out enough insulin to handle all those carbs they just consumed, putting them into a carb coma. Maybe that'd be a great time for you to go out for a walk. Maybe that'd be a great time for you to go out and enjoy the outside. Maybe you have an activity you like. People in the country go hop on a 4-wheeler or ride your horse, or, you know, I don't know what people do in their off time, but it'll be amazing. And then the final thing I'd say is the dessert. It takes just as long to cook the keto pecan pie as it does to take the one that's going to kill you. The time is the same. The taste is negligible. It's a little bit different taste. It's not going to be the pecan pie your grandma made, but it's going to be sweet. It's going to be flavorful. You're going to get that pecan. You're going to get all that. You'll enjoy a piece of it, and you'll be getting around. I think the pecan pie recipe, if I'm not mistaken, is like somewhere between 4 and 6 carbs for a slice, as opposed to like 25 carbs for a slice, which is a whole day's worth of carbs. You're going to enjoy it, and you're going to know that is rewarding yourself. It's this whole retraining of your mind that rewarding yourself is not eating the food that's killing you. The rewarding yourself is the not eating the food that's killing you and eating food that will sustain you. Eating the food that will keep you longevity, eating food that will keep you healthy with your spouse, healthy with your siblings, healthy to live a long time with your kids, healthy to live a long time with your grandkids, healthy so that when you do, if you do manage to get up into older age, and none of us are guaranteed that, but your shot's a lot better when you're healthy, that you'll actually be able to move around and function as an older person, rather than be debilitated with maybe an amputation, maybe you're having to be in a wheelchair due to a stroke you had, due to the constantly elevated levels of insulin that course through your veins all the time to try to handle the freaking carbs that you eat all day, every day. That's the reward. You got to change your mind's perspective of what a reward is. I'm going to close this out on just a personal note again, because people sometimes say that the personal part of what I do helps them in some way. If you follow me, you know what I've been through since May. The broke foot that would just never heal. It's been terrible to walk on. It's always painful. It's always swollen. It's always red. It's always half numb. I mean, it's a ton of issues. That caused the blood clots, that caused me, to have the deep vein thrombosis, which eventually caused me to have a saddle pulmonary embolism, which I'm very lucky to be alive. All this stuff challenged me to start living different. I had to start walking. I had to walk to keep my foot where it works. I have to walk to keep the blood flowing and try to prevent any further DVTs so that I don't get another pulmonary embolism, because I have so many now. I'm lucky I didn't die from them. Another one could kill me instantly. And so I have changed. I have had to change how I feel about living that way, walking with pain, walking when it's unbearable, or walking when I don't feel like, and that has become a reward to me. And I have to tell you, day before yesterday, I decided not to walk, and I just felt miserable because I wasn't walking, which is weird. And I was talking to a friend of mine that afternoon. I was like, it's strange when you feel miserable because you didn't walk. You feel the sense of dread because you didn't walk. I've turned the walking is a reward to me, to myself. I am rewarding myself with something positive. That is my reward. When I eat throughout the day and I look at my carb count at the end of the day and it's 5 or 6 or 10 carbs or something, and I see that I'm getting really healthy muscle building, cell building amounts of protein and fats and stuff, that is my reward now. I'm rewarded by that. When I don't screw up and binge out on a bunch of sweets and stuff that causes me to retain a bunch of water and swell up like a log in a swamp somewhere, that's the reward to me. Where it's crazy. When you think about it, we are crazy. There's a little bit of psychosis. There's a little bit of mental unstableness involved. When you know that those things you eat make you miserable. They do me. Boy, I can go grab, and I love it. My favorite thing in the world is grab a double-decker oatmeal cream pie, a little pack of those, the crunchy donuts that have that, whatever that crumble is on them. I love those things. And then get like there's these peanut butter cookies that they sell now. They're not, maybe not new, but they're like newer in the market. Like, I don't remember seeing them 4 or 5 years ago. Those things are awesome. Getting those, and then getting a little thing of chocolate milk. I can't tell you how many times that I've been great on an eating right roll and then just have a meltdown one day and go get those. And it's satisfying for however long it takes me to eat it. So if it takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that's how long it's rewarding. After it, and for the next 3 to 4 days, as I try to get the swelling to go down, I try to get all the water weight that I accumulated from eating it to go back down, because it puts 5, 6, 10 pounds on me. That's not a reward. There's nothing rewarding about that. There's nothing. It's not rewarding my mind mentally. It's not rewarding my body physically, and it's definitely not rewarding my future. There's no reward in it. It's just not good. It's just not good. The rewards, the perks in life, the things that should make your eyes light up are the things that nourish your body, nourish your mind, nourish your friendships, nourish your relationships. And those things are going to be eating in a way that ensures as best as humanly possible your long-term survival and your long-term level of health. That is what rewards me. So when Thanksgiving comes, and if you do right and you're sitting there and you're eating your turkey that you baked and it's good and healthy for you, and you have the two sides on the plate with the turkey, and one of them is the whatever, I don't know, roasted cauliflower or roasted asparagus, or maybe you got Brussels sprouts or whatever with the butter drizzled over it, and that's what you're eating, and everybody else is pigging out on mashed potatoes and stuffing and yams, and they're just cramming their mouths full of carbs. You can sit there and smile. You don't sit there and feel disappointed. You don't sit there and feel like you're missing out on something. Don't feel like you're the loser at the party. I don't mean to tell you this about your friends and family that are sitting around that table with you, but they are the ones losing. They are the ones losing. They're the ones that in just a few minutes are going to feel miserable. Their bodies are going to start shutting down while their pancreas figures out some way in heavens help me pump out enough insulin to handle these carbs, because Lord knows it's nearly impossible, and they will go into the carb comas, and that is their body in a state of distress. Carb comas aren't funny. They aren't entertaining. They aren't healthy. Your body is in a state of distress as it desperately tries to deal with the abuse that you just dealt out to it. And there's long-term consequences. That when that insulin is just rushing through your veins at an alarming rate, trying to deal with all that sugar that's rushing through your veins at an alarming rate, you are damaging the endothelial cells of your arteries at a rate that is just mind-boggling. And this is what leads to cholesterol having to move in and patch up all that damage that's done. And then the next thing you know, you get a cholesterol patch breaks off, and bam, blocks off an artery, and somebody's dead. Does that mean that eating the right way 100% ensures that you won't have a heart attack? Well, for one reason, no, because most of us have all eaten the wrong way our whole lives, although there's a pretty good amount of evidence that you can start reversing it. Second of all, you are ensuring you aren't making it any worse. So if you are at a stable point in life, and maybe you have some plaques, but it's stable plaques, it doesn't matter. Stable plaques, you can live 150 years with stable plaques. So if you've been fortunate enough you haven't had a heart attack now, you can intervene, you can start living right, and you won't be depriving yourself. I promise you that the turkey and whatever healthy sides you choose are going to be delicious, and I can promise you that keto pecan pie is delicious. You can either even binge out and have 2 pieces of it. You know what? This is what I say about Thanksgiving Day for people who are carnivore, keto, or whatever. Your binge out day takes you from keto if you mess up. If you don't, you can keep it keto. But even if you mess up and splurge a little, it takes you from being keto to just being low carb. It don't take you into the realm of I'm killing myself overloading on carbs. Okay? That's just a big difference. Think about it. You splurge and you've been doing right, and you're keeping your carbs 20 or less for a week or 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, and Thanksgiving comes and suddenly you take your carbs up to 40. Well, that's still way under 50. If you've been doing right for a long time, you probably won't even get out of ketosis. And I don't obsess about ketosis, because ketosis is not what makes you lose weight. So you don't have to obsess about staying in ketosis, but it's a good sign that you're doing right if you are. And if you've been doing it a while, 30, 40 carbs you probably won't even get kicked out of ketosis if you've been eating right and doing right for a while. And so while your carbs go way up, it's nothing near the 300 or 400 carbs that your family is eating that's killing them. You're still fine. You've splurged a little. And that's the reward. That's the reward. Reward yourself with family. Reward yourself with friends. And reward yourself with good food, not food. You don't reward yourself with tasty, horrible food. You reward yourself with tasty, good food. And it's not bad food. That's the thing. It's not bad. The turkey is still going to be just as good as it always was. Okay? It just is. And you're substituting sides. Granted, you didn't get to eat the yams. Sorry about that. Granted, you didn't get to eat the stuffing. And Granny makes the best stuffing ever. Sorry about that. Tell your granny that you love her and you want to be around for as long as possible to spend time with her, and that's why you're not eating the stuffing. Not that you don't love her, not that you think the stuffing is bad, that you just want to be around a long time, and that you love your broccoli or cauliflower or asparagus or Brussels sprouts or salad or whatever healthy sides it is you've chosen to eat, okay? I can't stress it enough. There's nothing more I can say. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you guys sharing. Appreciate you guys commenting. It means the world to me. Big thanks to my patrons, Bessie Williams, Kenneth Wilkerson, Bobby Houston. Again, if you want to chip a few bucks that way, I have these awesome recipes over there that are all of them are amazing, especially that pecan pie one. Woo-hoo. Patreon, patreon.com/fatguypodcast. Chunk me a few bucks, and I'm happy to do anything I can for you in that area. As always, I try to help anybody I can that messages me. That's what gives me my joy in life. And the thing that makes me smile the most is when I see somebody shared this on their social media so it can help others. And when I get the reviews on Apple Podcast and somebody gives me a 5-star and says, man, I love this podcast. He keeps it real. He's helped me in this way or that way or the other way. Makes my day. I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I think I'll probably get another podcast or two in between now and Thanksgiving, but this may be the only one where I talk about Thanksgiving. So I wish you the very best. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you and your family and your friends and have the best one ever. And thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate you.